new come together in the Irish Hills of southern Michigan at the inaugural US 500. For the sport of IndyCar racing, today is a race day like none that has ever gone before. For the participants themselves, today is the most important day of the season. These are professional racing drivers, the best in the world at what they do. They have won championships at every level of motorsports, from local titles as boys to world championships as adults. In a few hours, one of these men will occupy a very special place in the records. His name will be inscribed on a silver cup that embodies the spirit of the American racing tradition. Wide open, high speeds, and even higher stakes. With that place in history will go a more tangible reward, a check for $1 million. Today is not just any race day. Race fans in 198 countries around the world are looking on for Memorial Day in America, the most important day of the year, not only for an IndyCar driver, but for his car owner, their families, crews, and sponsors as well. For all of them, the month of May will never be the same. A complicated story can be distilled to one simple fact. For the first time ever, the stars of IndyCar are not racing at Indianapolis on the last weekend in May. They are here in Michigan, preparing to take on the challenge of 500 miles. Everyone has their own opinion on the issues, but racers have a saying: when the green flag drops, the talking stops. The family dynasties are on hand, the Unzers and the Andrettis. Rick Mears, winner of more 500-mile races than any other driver in the history of the sport. Roger Penske, who owns this great racing facility, Michigan International Speedway, the fastest track in the sport. For Carl Haas, an opportunity to extend the long list of racing champions he has brought here. For his co-owner in the Newman-Haas team, Paul Newman, an even more special treat. He will drive the pace car that will send the inaugural running of the US 500 on its way. The time for talking is past. It's time to go racing in Michigan. For nearly a century, they have raced toward this moment. In the early days of the automobile, American motorsports attracted the world's greatest drivers. They came seeking a silver trophy, the Vanderbilt Cup. This international competition helped give birth to America's premier open-wheeled racing championship, IndyCar. Today, IndyCar remains true to that early formula, the best from around the world, battling the homegrown heroes on every type of track. Now comes the dawn of a new day for IndyCar racing, the inaugural US 500. An event as spectacular as the sport itself, as big as the American dream. The familiar names are here: Andretti, Unser, Gordon, DeFerran, Vassar, Rahal, Pruitt, Tracy, Boesel, Rivero, and Fittipaldi, ready to fight for a special page in the record books. And for the first time in more than a half century, the best in the world are once again racing for that silver trophy, the Vanderbilt Cup. Welcome to history, May 26, 1996. The grandstands are filling up. The crowd expected in excess of 120,000 people, the largest IndyCar crowd ever at Michigan International Speedway. And the race that they are here to watch will be something special indeed. A new day in IndyCar. The drivers are ready. And now with the all-important command, the Honorable John Engler, Mayor, Governor, that is, of the state of Michigan.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Engines are fired. Let's get down to the starting grid, where one of our three pit reporters for today's race, James Allen, is standing by with a very interested spectator.
David, this is a world-class event. One of your cars is on the front row. Surely this must be the most fun you've ever had without laughing.
If this doesn't make you very, very excited, then you're not hooked up right.
What does it mean to you as a team owner to be here today?
Well, forgetting that, it's just a thrill to be here. I mean, my God, look what we're about to do. And to be lucky enough to know these people involved in this sport is a real thrill and an honor for me.
Back to you, Bob.
I have a of Michigan International Speedway. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Barsha. American racing fans have grown accustomed to spending Memorial Day weekend with their IndyCar favorites doing battle over the classic 500-mile distance. And so it is this year, except for the fact that the race has moved from Indianapolis to here at Michigan, the sport's fastest track. And all the controversy over that fact is about to be muffled by the sound of racing engines, which is as it should be. With me to bring you all the action of today's race, a two-time winner over 500 miles here at Michigan, Scott Goodyear. Scott, race day is always important, but this weekend is huge for these drivers and teams.
It really is. This is the biggest race of the year for everybody that's here. It's 500 miles. You have to be there at the end to win the event. We see Jimmy Vasser has won $100,000 so far for winning the pole position. This is $1 million. Usually we race all season long to catch $1 million at the end of the season. We're going to have it here in one day today.
In fact, we're going to have it in about 3 hours. Let's take a look at our Miller starting grid. Across the front row of three, Jimmy Vasser from San Francisco, California, Mexican Adrian Fernandez, and Brian Herta from Dublin, Ohio. On row two, a rookie at Michigan, Alex Zanardi, along with Al Unser Jr. and Andre Ribeiro. On row three, Paul Tracy, Emerson Fittipaldi, who won his first IndyCar race here at Michigan, and Scott Pruitt. On row four will be Raul Boesel, Michael Andretti, and Christian Fittipaldi. Row 5 will have Gilles de Ferran, Mauricio Gugelmin, and Bobby Rahal, still looking for his first victory over 500 miles at Michigan. He's won here several times before at shorter distances. On row 6 will be Parker Johnstone, who sat on the pole for the Marlboro 500 here a year ago, along with Greg Moore, the spectacular young Canadian rookie, and Eddie Lawson, another rookie here at Michigan. On row 7, Englishman Mark Blundell, also a rookie, along with Roberto Moreno of Brazil, making his return to Michigan after a 10-year absence, and Robbie Gordon. On row 8, Stefan Johansson of Sweden, alongside his countrymen, the rookie Fredrik Ekblom and Jeff Krosnoff in one of the Toyota-powered entries. And on row 9, Hiro Matsushita of Japan, Juan Manuel Fangio II, a rookie here at Michigan, and Gary Bettenhausen, back after 3 years out of a race car, racing for his brother Tony's team. Here's a look at our race analysis. 250 laps, 500 miles total. The pole sitter, Jimmy Vasser, picked up a Marlboro Pole Award of $100,000. He can also pick up another $45,000 in rollover bonuses if he can win from the pole position. The winner's purse, a minimum of $1 million. In today's field, you see the chassis listed, including Dan Gurney's All-American Eagle Racer Eagle Mark V, the engines from Ford, Mercedes, Honda, and Toyota, tires, of course, from Goodyear and Firestone. Now we have a new experimental pit rule change in effect here at Michigan. Here's what will happen. When a yellow flag goes up, the pits will be closed. They will then open once the field is under control and in line behind the safety car. Once for the lead lap cars. 1 lap later, the lapped cars may come in for pit service. When there is 1 lap remaining to green and the field is on the track, they will split. The lead lap cars up high, lapped cars down low. No passing until the field crosses the start-finish line at the green flag. Earlier today, we talked with Rick Mears about what the likely impact of this new rule will be.
Well, I like the new procedure, I think, for several reasons. One of them, most importantly, is safety. Because when they close the pit lane, when it goes yellow, now guys won't be racing back to the pit to try to get an advantage, which in turn ends up making you race through the crash or whatever. So now everybody can just slow down. They won't lose anything, get into the pits, get their stops done, and get out. Secondly, it's going to bunch up the show. It's going to keep the show tight. It's going to keep the front runners together. If you have a problem, I've had them over the years a lot of times, you cut a tire, you get down a lap, something like that. Now, when you pull out into the lower lane, you'll be closer to the front and be able to race to get your lap back. So it'll allow you to get back into the show the way it should be. So I think it's going to be, quite a bit better in a lot of different aspects. Better for timing and scoring and everything else.
Well, one of the things they'll have to do down here on pit road is IndyCar needs a way to communicate immediately with the crews. What is the status down here? First of all, here is a red flag with a P, meaning that the pits are closed. Then a very large poster board, in this particular case, meaning that the pits are open if you're minus a lap or more. Flip over this poster board. This is when the leaders will come in. They'll communicate that to the crews, and they'll probably be busy down here if we hit a yellow, guys.
All right, thank you, Jan, along with James Allen and Marty Reed. Jan will be patrolling the pit lane. The ceremonial pace cars have pulled off on this all-important occasion. We are ready for the traditional 3-wide start. At the controls of the pace car, actor racing driver Paul Newman. eminently qualified to pace the field for this important race. So much at stake. A crowd of over 120,000 on hand, and all of the familiar teams of IndyCar racing. Each individual in this great racing plant has their own reason for being here, but make no mistake, history will be made here today at Michigan. The field, perhaps the most qualified in IndyCar history. World championships in both Formula One cars and sports cars. 7 IndyCar titles, 131 total IndyCar victories between them. Jimmy Vasser, who has won 3 of the first 5 races of the season and is the points leader coming into this race, will bring the field up to speed. And we have a crash in turn 4. A crash approaching the green flag, and many, many cars are involved.
Well, something has obviously gone wrong on cold tires. Maybe that might be the possibility. A half shaft braking. It looked like one of the cars went directly 90 degrees to the right, so we're not quite sure, and we got quite a collision here on our hands.
At least 9 cars involved, at least 9 cars stationary right now. No idea how many may be damaged, but still circulating. I see Eddie Lawson's car going by, missing half of its rear wing. You see the drivers climbing out of their cars. There is Jimmy Vasser, the pole sitter, as he makes his way away. We have a red flag on the racetrack. Obviously, this cannot continue. We have a red flag, all stop, and we'll start all over again. Let's get down to Jan Bikas in the pit lane.
Bob, because we have a red flag, we're down here with the Ganassi Racing crew, and they're quickly working on Jimmy Vasser's spare car. They are one of the few teams that has brought a spare car to pit road. They are hoping that they will be able to use this car. Of course, they'll have to wait for a ruling from IndyCar, but the crew frantically down here trying to get this car ready.
There is the scene from high overhead. Now we get word from the officials that backup cars will be eligible for the restart. On the left, Jimmy Vasser. On the right, Brian Herta, talking the whole situation over. They were 2 of the 3 cars on the front row, and the action began right up there on the front row. It appears that all the drivers are out of their cars. The safety crews are working on them. Let's take another look, Scott.
Well, it looks like Jimmy Vasser on the pole position just turned right. Now, I would say something must have went wrong with the car, because if he got on the gas too soon on cold tires, usually the car would go to the inside like we've seen before numerous times, and this just turned right. So we're not quite sure why that is. So the guys are going evenly side by side, and a little bit of acceleration will come up here very shortly. I would say those 2 cars between Fernandez and Vasser are very close, very close. The left front wheel of Fernandez was hooking on the inside of Jimmy Vasser's right rear, and I would say those guys are probably just a little bit too close for the start.
Take another look and watch the action behind them as the second and third rows take evasive action. Vasser's car, the red one, spears up, touches Fernandez, collects Brian Herta. Andre Ribeiro into the wall behind Herta. See Al Unser Jr. and Paul Tracy down low. They may have escaped the debris. Gilles de Ferran involved. And collisions at the back as well, because keep in mind, the cars at the back of the field are going every bit as quickly as those up front.
Well, many things are happening for the guys at the rear of the field. They're trying to miss everybody that's having problems in front of them if they're spinning, and you're also watching for debris, as the debris is maybe coming down across the track, or as you saw, maybe a few tires are bouncing off the pavement, and you want to make sure that they're not going to come down and land on top of you. But this is something that is just horrendous on the start, because the guys are wanting to turn around. Here's a different view right now. I've seen the guys from the rear package, and I would say everybody's very close, not wanting to give an inch here on the very beginning of the race. Looks like Fernandez is just coming down to catch the rear wheel of Jimmy Vasser.
And then it's all skate behind as everybody gets on the brakes. I have never seen anything like this, certainly not at IndyCar racing. So many cars involved as they approached the green flag. Literally half the field involved. Now you ride on board Vasser's car, looking to the rear. Let's watch and listen.
Well, there you go. Jimmy, you could tell by the in-car camera, was not accelerating. It was even throttle, and obviously the 2 guys just touched wheels and off they went.
And a melee ensued. There is Alex Zanardi, Jimmy Vasser's teammate, sitting in his car in the pit area. There you see some of the damage, the residue of a spectacular collision. We'll be right back live to Michigan.
It's equal parts sweat and steel, with ice thrown in for blood. Its margins of error measured in hundredths of an inch.